So Eric, if I can have you come up, we're going to talk about the one thing that we have to talk about, which is the sales process and how you can all get better at it. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the greatest individuals I have ever met, with the biggest heart, Mr. Eric Bjerke.
That's what I am. I need the clicker. How's everybody doing? Wow. You guys ready to talk about sales? Yeah? No? Are you ready to talk about sales? Does this guy look familiar? You know, 50 pounds lighter, 12 years younger. But that's actually, or that was me, right? And you can tell from this photograph, even though it's hard to explain why, not only am I younger and skinnier, but there's a little less wisdom in this picture than the bearded, beer-bellied man you see on stage. Now imagine this kid, okay, sitting in the office, the boss's office. You guys know the boss. And it's at one of the best mortgage training companies in the nation, 12 years ago, sitting in that office. Some of you know that office. Some of you may have sat in the same chair. And even if you haven't sat in that chair, you know the feeling, right? Brand new at sales, no idea what you're doing, but you also, even if you don't picture the exact room, you picture that feeling, you share that naive glint of hope. You were all there on your first day on sales. Who had a first day of being a salesperson? Some of you guys were born salespeople. Okay, all right. I've met some like that. No, you've had that first day as a salesperson, right? You know that feeling. Me, recently married, totally broke, no idea what I'm doing. You've all been there or in some sort of place like that, right? Right? You've shared that feeling of having your first day, not knowing, okay, well, what am I going to do to get leads? How do I convert leads? How do I connect with these strangers? Some people, it seems like they're best friends the second they meet. I'm a kind of a weird person, so it took me a while to learn how to do those things, right? You guys have all had that client that was super angry with you because you dropped the ball, because you had no idea what you were doing. And you're like, sorry, like, what are you going to say? Sorry, I have no idea what I'm doing. Just please forgive me. It's actually not a bad idea. If you have a really, really close connection and you build good rapport and good trust, which we'll talk about. That was me, okay? So imagine that's you sitting in that chair. And in this sales meeting, the boss is talking about emotions. He's talking about, you know, people, they're too emotional, they're not tactical enough. And Eric, tell me about emotions. Well, emotions don't exist. No response. So clearly, I needed to elaborate on what I meant, right? So, you know, it's really just a figment of your imagination. There's no real, and then it became clear as his eyebrows went from above his eyeballs to halfway up his skull that I did not give the answer he was looking for. And it was abundantly clear, based off the level of emotion in his response, that I was absolutely wrong, right? So that was 12 years ago. And that day, sitting in that Friday sales meeting, absolutely changed my life, among other things, right? To this day, I'm eternally grateful to that man, that boss, that told me so much about sales and taught me a process to follow and taught me the discipline to execute, because the process of sales is what has allowed me to go from this naive kid that you see over here to a disciplined sales ninja. I've had scalable success. I've had financial freedom. I have a balanced life. You see, my kids are back here. I get to bring my kids and my wife to stuff. How cool is that? Right? Pretty cool. I think it's cool. And that process is what allowed me to go from being a broke kid who never made more than 20 grand a year, working doubles at Applebee's and at Kentucky Fried Chicken, to where I am today, right? I got up to the point where I made $20,000 in a month. And I had people across the country that I was coaching in relationships, right? It all came because of a process and following that process. And we're going to talk today about those 4 steps to a sale and how to use technology to scale that to the next level, okay? So, I mentioned I used to work at Kentucky Fried Chicken. You guys know there's a secret recipe about that, right? I don't know the recipe, but they had a process. And this was something that helped me immensely when I first got into sales, is I had my experience in the kitchen cooking chicken to lean back on. So I'm going to teach you guys the secret to preparing Kentucky Fried Chicken, okay? My boss at the time, he would be back in the back of the kitchen at KFC yelling at me, "You got to follow the process, Eric, follow the process." It's plastered everywhere, right? So what you do is you take the bag of chicken, you throw it in the water, you dunk it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. You throw it into the flour. You fold it over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. You pick it up, shake it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You put it back in the water if it's crispy, shake it 7 times, repeat it again, right? Original recipe, you just put it on the track, you throw it into the fryer, 20 minutes later, you got Kentucky Fried Chicken, okay? The process of sales is the exact same thing. It's as easy as making chicken when you're a 16-year-old kid in the back of a nasty Kentucky Fried Chicken restaurant, okay? If you memorize, practice, execute the entire process, there's 4 steps to a sale. You guys all know what these are, right? As you're going through this whole presentation, many of you are probably going to say like, "Oh yeah, I know that. Oh yeah, I know that." Great. How good are you at that? Is what you should be asking yourself. So you got initial contact, build rapport, close. I prefer to say follow through instead of follow up. You follow through. I'll explain a little bit about the difference. So when it comes to initial contact, there's 4 questions that you need to ask yourself. 4 questions. Who? Who are you going to call? You see some examples of who you could be calling right now? VIPs, current clients, leads, right? Be great if you had a game plan on which day of the week you called these lists, and these lists were all organized into one place for you, right? How are you going to make contact? Right? So who are you going to contact? How are you going to contact them? You're going to mail, you're going to call, you're going to visit, you're going to send videos. When are you going to do it? I basically explained every type of time on there because you've got to have different timing for different activities, okay? Daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, semi-annually. You put those systems into place. It's a process that you're following. Why? Why are you calling? You got to make sure you're calling with value, right? When I first started in sales, the initial thought that a 21-year-old kid who didn't know anything had when he was told, "You need to talk to 100 people a week," was, why would these people want to talk to me? What am I supposed to talk about? I don't understand. There's a lot of fear in that. So when you know what you're going to talk about, you can have faith that you're giving value to the people that you're reaching out to. And you could be confident that you're not bugging them, you're not annoying them. So these are some ideas. Market updates, share local news, talk to them about opportunities that you've come across. And let's keep in mind, this is not just phone calls. This is through all of these mediums that we've discussed over the course of the past day and a half. Social media posts, that's a form of initial contact. That's a form of initial contact that's one to many. So you can get yourself out there and contact a bunch of people with a message if it resonates with them. Let's give it up for Mike and Shannon for going through those hooks and how to put those together, right? You guys have a plan. You have an idea of how to create this content, and it falls into these whys, right? So who, how, why. I got one more question for you. What if? My good friend Mike, he always says, "What if I told you?" Right? You guys ever have those conversations? They start with, "What if I told you?" So what if I told you that you could have unlimited initial contact, and instead of chasing clients, you could attract them? You could instantly track how they're interacting with you. You could have them book appointments for themselves instead of you having to put them in the calendar. You could schedule your social media, right? You guys get it. You see the robot bee, the bee bot, right? It's all a part of the Bee Connect system. And I want to really focus in on is sales is the mission, right? The vision is what you're doing for the client, right? That's more important. But when it comes to your business, the mission is to make sales. Does anybody disagree? You don't have a business if you don't have leads. So we want to make sure that you've got more opportunities to impact people's lives and to generate leads. So step number 2 in the 4 steps to a sale is to build rapport. The dictionary, I saw Jody used Oxford, or somebody used Oxford dictionary. It's like, that sounds a lot fancier. I pulled this off of Merriam-Webster. Rapport, right? A close and harmonious relationship in which the people or groups concerned understand each other's feelings or ideas and communicate well, right? So that definition of rapport really sums it up. But guess what? I don't really like the word rapport. It's overused now. Doesn't it just seem salesy, right? I prefer something like connect. I prefer something like engage. I prefer to have some words around this stuff, and I'll share some of my preferred words at the end, because I can tell you, as you can see, I have a lot of words to say. But the first step to building rapport, what did Robin Williams say? Be yourself, right? You got to be real. That was an issue I had when I started in sales. How could I be real? I'm broke, and I don't own a car, and I have no idea how to do anything to do with mortgage or real estate, and yet I'm calling these people telling them, hey, I can help you succeed. I can help you be great. And I realized that if you're faking, you know they say fake it till you make it? It's terrible advice. Be the person that you want to be. Be real. When you're making connections with people, whether it's phone calls, whether it's social media, whether it's events like this, you have to be yourself. You need to be interested. You guys all know this quote. Read it with me. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. You guys didn't read very loud. Can you read it again? My daughter reads really quiet when she's reading to us, so I'm going to tell you guys, as if you're my daughter, use your diaphragm. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Nobody knows if it's really Theodore Roosevelt, but it was at least as old as something that Theodore Roosevelt said. Okay? Be relatable. This is something like, Chad is truly one of my best friends. And 10 months ago when he reached out to me and he said, hey, keep your eyes on social media. Something might be happening. I was like, okay, just tell me what you need, man. I'm in. If it's with you, I'm in. Okay? And Derek, everybody loves Derek. What's up, Derek? In the back. Let's give Derek and Katie, his beautiful wife, right there, a shout out. Derek and I always give him a hard time because he's from Chicago, right? And so he looks so like stiff and like businessy. And we're like, dude, you're in North Carolina now. Nobody's going to want to hang out with you if you dress like that. It's not relatable, right? And I'm super, super proud of him because he's taken that. It couldn't just be me and Derek that told him that, but he's taken that. So this social media post, that face right there, you're like, oh yeah, I can really relate with this guy. Or how about this one? Right? I would love to hear this situational story later. I know that Kristen posted this and tagged you in it. You guys can read it. I rescind my earlier statement. I could never fall in love with someone who regularly poops their pants, right? That's relatable. Who can relate to that, right? That's the guy that we love. And you can project that relatability through social media and through conversations. Now, what if clients felt like you were just like them? They feel connected to you. You're able to honor them on dates that are important to them, right? Be interested. Well, you got to show them that you care. You can't just ask a bunch of... How many of you guys... I'm guilty of this, all right? You're all familiar. There's a form. We like to call it the Getting to Know You form. Other people call it the All About You form. How many of you guys made every single client fill one out, and then you just like tucked them in a drawer, and you're like, oh, I should probably do something with that information, right? Thanks for being honest with me. I appreciate the one person that says, I can relate to that. You guys are a lot better than me, I guess. You can go back to those personal details, and Justin didn't show this. I think his video may not have played, but there was an AI bot that he programmed based off of the Ford acronym on building rapport that pulls data from the All About You form or the Getting to Know You form that you have your clients fill out, and then as it's following up and nurturing your clients forever, or until the electromagnetic bomb goes off and technology doesn't work anymore at least, and it's asking them questions. It's referencing that file and saying like, hey, how's your daughter doing? I know she's into this, I know she's into that. Just to stir up that conversation and get them replying to you. And once they start replying, you can jump in and be like, hey, this person's chatting with me right now, let's go. You could schedule a call, hey, let's connect, let's talk about your needs, right? What if customers knew that you were that you were authentic? You be real. They could tell. Third step of the close, right? So when it comes to closing, which is the fourth step of the sale, or the third step of the sale, you have to be clear, okay? Now this is something that was taught in freshman English class, if not earlier, right? You tell me, like, annoying as it was a good lesson for life. You remember how to write an essay? So first you need an introduction in which you say everything that you're about to write about. And then you need a body in which you say what you're writing about. And then you need a conclusion in which you say what you just wrote about, right? That's how closing needs to be, though. There's a reason they taught it to us at such a young age. You got to make sure that at every step of the process, you are crystal clear with your clients. This is what we're going to do, and I'm going to show you how. This is what we're going to do. Look at how it is. So I told you what we're doing, and this is how I showed it to you. You got to be confident at that point to say, sign here, right? I told you what we were going to tell you. I showed it to you. It's what we agreed you wanted. Let's move forward. That confidence, the word confident comes from the Latin words con and fidere, which means with and trust, respectively, right? So when you are confident in your close, it's with trust. Not just trusting yourself that you're likable and good looking and that they want to, sell their house with you. But there's a mutual trust there. They need to have a trust in you. If you want to close, you have to do it with trust, and it has to be a mutual trust. And at that point, it doesn't feel like a sale. It feels like you're serving someone. You got to be helpful. Any Lord of the Rings fans? Right? I'm not trying to rob you. I'm trying to help you. They have to feel that. They have to feel as though you are being helpful to them. Even if you know mentally, hey, you need to sell your house. You're in a situation where you need to get money and you can't afford where you live, and this is what you need to do. If they do not feel as though you are being helpful for them, they will feel as Bilbo Baggins did when Gandalf was trying to save him from the most dangerous weapon in existence. And closing's got to be seamless, okay? One of my mentors, Jeffrey Gitomer, he coined this phrase when he came out with the Little Red Book of Selling. People don't like to be sold, but they love to buy. Jeffrey Gitomer. So make it easy, Eric Bjerke, right? Make it easy for people to give you money. Why do so many companies make it difficult for you to pay them? You're going to go through all these processes, right? Oh, you got to do this, jump through this hoop, go through that page. If you want something, you want it now. Make it seamless for your clients. I'm not saying avoid the important conversations, because you have to be clear, right? You have to be clear on what they're paying for when they hire you. But make it seamless. And the ways that you can do that is you can collect signatures in seconds. Leverage technology for these things, right? Make it so that if you're on a Zoom call with someone, right? Maybe it's Brianna and she's talking to someone that was referred to somebody else in here because she gets a ton of business from realtor referrals. And they're on a Zoom call and she's going through it and she's gone through all these steps. and she gets to the point where it's time for them to sign the buyer's agency agreement. What if she's on the call and she says, hey, so is this on what you want to do? Yeah, click a button. Okay, pull up your inbox. I just sent you the buyer's agency agreement for Texas. Click there, click there, click there. Cool, right? What if they knew your value before they even meet you? Because through automations and through the things that you're sending, even when it's from the point that they schedule the appointment to after, you can make a lot of little promises. We'll jump into that in a second. But you can build value and build trust before you've even sat down with a client. What if you delivered instantly on every promise every single time? If you promise things that you know are pre-programmed to happen automatically with a single click of a button or any series of events, you look like you work really, really, really hard and are super fast, right? And that's an example of follow-through, the fourth step of the sale. And the reason I say follow through is because follow through is finishing. Following up is kind of just like an obligation to a lot of people. I'll give you an example of this. And first and foremost, I want to thank you guys for coming here to the Gaylord. It's awesome. This in no way is a dig at anybody here. But I had an interesting experience where they were taking great care of me and they were helping me, this was a few days ago, to move my room because I had to switch rooms. And I knew this, right? I knew that I was going to get a single room one night with 2 queens, and then the next one would come available so that my kids could sleep in a separate room than me and my wife, which is so nice to be able to just shut the door and not listen to them, right? I love you, Katie. Love you, Jesse. And so they're helping me out. I got 2 calls in the morning. Hey, here's what we're going to do for you. Hey, it's ready. Let me know when you've done it. I go through. My problem is solved. Do you know what I was waiting for? Hey, I know that your problem has been solved. I wanted to be sure it was done to your liking. That's follow through. That's finishing the job. Okay? And you know what? Like, isn't that the easiest phone call? Of all of the calls that I received that day, the easiest one is, hey, Eric, I know that your problem has been solved, and I just wanted to confirm that it's to your liking, right? All you're doing is following through. And people do not follow through. 80% of sales are made after the 5th contact. 44% of people quit after 1 follow-up. 60% of customers say no 4 times before saying yes, and 86% of statistics are made up. I did not make these ones up, though. Now, another step to following through is to be reliable. Trust is built over time through small, kept promises, and it's broken in 1 second by 1 broken promise. Don't kick over the bucket. Be reliable. If you say you're going to do something, do it. You got to be thorough, right? My man Chad's going to love this one. He's taught me this lesson well. Every meeting that you have gets a follow-up call. You guys are familiar with the honor call system, right? And an email. Every email that you send gets a call and a text. Hey, I sent you an email. Can you please confirm that you received it? Every call that you make gets a text or an email, or both. Why not? Hey, this is what we talked about. Be thorough. Has any client ever really said at the end of the transaction, like, wow, it was so great working with you, Lee. I really appreciated it. The only thing is you let me know exactly what was going on throughout the entire process and made sure I had all the information I needed. That was the one thing I didn't like. No one has ever said that. You've got to be thorough. Everybody communicates differently as well. You guys are familiar with the 5 love languages, right? This goes into initial contact as well. You don't know someone's preferred method of communication. So your obligation is to be prepared to communicate with all of those avenues, okay? Now, what if you could automatically leave voicemails, send text messages, and send emails? Just by moving someone from one stage of your pipeline to another, it triggers all of the things that need to go out automatically. What if you had pre-scheduled campaigns to warm up cold leads? What if you had that milestone triggered communication that I referenced, right? So that's the process. Initial contact, build rapport, close, and follow through. Now I mentioned that there were some other words that I would use as well. In fact, there were so many that I wanted to stick with the classic words. so as to not confuse myself or any of you. But here's some of the other words that I think would be really appropriate for initial contact. And I'll leave it up so you can take a picture of it. And I want you guys to think about it. One of the things that I love about my job, I don't think you can call it a job, it doesn't feel like a job to me, is the ability to think with other people. And if any of these B statements resonate with you, you use them, right? Initial contact could be known, right? That's more of the social media. Like, people know you if they see you on social media, right? I'm not going to read all of them out loud to you. I'm going to let you take a picture. I was very uncertain when it came to closing, so I said more ideas, right? But these are some of the B statements that fit into each of these 4 steps to a sale. And I want to make sure to emphasize to you guys that this is basic stuff. Is this the first time anyone has heard that there's 4 steps to a sale and their initial contact, build rapport, close, and follow through? No, you guys have all heard it. You know this. But the question is, how good are you at it? How good are you at it? And what I want to do is I want to make it so that any deficiency in your execution gets removed. I want to make it so that you have confidence, right? You've got trust in these steps of the sale, and you've got them working for you. And that's how B-Connect works. That's why we created it. That's why Mike and I were so passionate. Like, he and I would be like, I was moonlighting. I was working for Jeffrey Gittimer, and I was like moonlighting in November and December for B, like up in the middle of the night working on automations and on technology stuff. And we're like, what if we could do this? What if we could do that? Thank goodness we met Justin, who actually knows how to build this stuff. Justin, let's give him another round of applause. He's helped us tremendously, dude. So he's gone through all of it. What's important now is I've shown you why this tool is going to make more sales. Because I'm the kind of person, when I look at a coaching program or I look at any kind of tech tools, I want to be like, wow, that's really cool, but how's it going to make me money? Or how's it going to save me time? And executing the 4 steps of the sale through B-Connect, scan that right now. If your internet is slow, it's okay. There's, a couple thousand people probably in this resort, all on the same internet, so that happens. But on your name tag, the QR on the back, it's got the resources. You can get signed up for B-Connect by going there. This program is $3.99 per month for anybody that's here today. This is exclusive pricing. We are just launching it. And I want you guys, if you feel that you need to get more efficient in how you are following your sales process, if any of the things that Jody talked about earlier on automation and automating your life, any of the things that Justin shared, if any of that resonated with you, then take the leap and invest in this. I'm going to tell you, it's an investment not just of money. The money's not that bad. What's really an investment is the time. You have to be committed. We're going to make it way easier for you than if you were going to do it on your own, but you have to be committed, and you have to have faith in this process. You have to have faith that the platform is going to help you to save time, save money, generate more leads, live a better life. Okay? Same thing goes for coaching. At the end of the day, I don't know if coaching's the right fit for you right now. I don't know if the B-Connect platform's the right fit for you right now. But I know that it has helped many people, and it will help many people. So I want to be sure to share it with you. So if you're unsure, everybody remember this show? Right? Knowledge is power. Schoolhouse Rock. Hate to tell it to you, but that's wrong. They lied to you. Action equals power. Action equals power. Knowledge is useless. I told you guys yesterday. I didn't know I was talking yesterday, so I kind of stole a little bit from my speech. I was like, yeah, they can hear it again. Action is what counts. And whether it's with us using B-Connect, whether it's with us through coaching, whether it's with a different platform that you've already invested in that you just don't understand and you're like, I don't know, right? Use something. Take action, because that's where the power comes from. James 1, verses 23 and 24 says, anyone who listens to the word but does not do what it says is like someone who looks at his face in the mirror and then he goes away immediately forgetting what he looks like. Think about that for a second. Imagine if you woke up in the morning and you had a big booger hanging out of your nose and you're like, oh, there's a big booger in my nose. I better go grab a tissue. And you walked away and you're like, oh, what was I doing? Huh. And you just walked around the rest of the day with a booger hanging out of your nose. Fortunately, if you're my friend, I would tell you you had a bat in the cave. But don't be that person that hears something and says, wow, oh yeah, I know that. That's good. How good are you at that? And be sure that in everything that you are doing, you are taking wisdom, you are taking knowledge, but you're taking action in those things. Thank you guys for your time.